ॐ नमो नारायणाय। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। हरिः ओम्। Suswagatam. We all are studying chapter number 4 of Bhagavad Gita. And in Bhagavad Gita, as we have seen, how Arjuna was trapped in a very difficult situation, and because of that, there was a great turmoil in his mind. His mind and intellect was completely under the spell of delusion, and therefore he could not take any correct, right decision. So, point to be noted, whenever there is a crucial situation in life, in any one of us, what happens? If we are not ready and we are not equipped with the right knowledge, then the mind takes over. What should happen rather? The intellect should work correctly, but it doesn't happen like that. Why? Because the knowledge is not steady, the knowledge is not established, the knowledge is not glowing, and therefore the mind takes the primary position and emotion becomes the major part of that situation. When every situation where the emotion is at the highest, then the decision is very difficult, and I may say, or I would say, that decision, if taken, definitely can go wrong, because the mind will take decision only on the basis of likes and dislikes, whereas the decision should be taken on the level of discrimination, on the level of duty consciousness. But that mind which is overwhelmed by the emotion can't do that at all, and therefore one has to be very clear that unless and until I have a firm base of knowledge, I cannot see the situation correctly, I cannot judge the situation correctly. Please note it. Every situation in life, we have two different levels. That is called as whether to do this or whether to do that. Then always, if the mind is taking a major portion or the primary role, then it only takes a decision on the basis of likes and dislikes, and it may go wrong and we have to regret for our decision. Therefore, Bhagavan is now trying to establish that knowledge in the intellect of Arjuna, where he can really understand the situation from a very different angle, which is called as a discriminative angle. We all have to be very careful in our life. Whenever I take a decision, I must know that it should be from a very discriminative angle. Okay. Having said this, we are now seeing that beautiful conversation between the Krishna Bhagavan as well as Arjuna. When Krishna Bhagavan said, "Oh Arjuna, I am going to tell you this knowledge which I told you first to the Surya Bhagavan." Sorry, when this statement is heard by Arjuna, Arjuna was little in a sort of amazing situation, surprised situation, and it definitely reflected in his words. He told that, how is it possible that you have given this knowledge to that who is called as Surya Bhagavan, who is, my God, from ages is there, but oh my dear friend, you are with me and you are elder than me, hardly 5-7 years. How is it so? Then Bhagavan has realized that, oh, Arjuna hasn't understood the proper nature, the true nature of me as Bhagavan. Having said this, Bhagavan has beautifully mentioned and given an indication about his true nature from two different levels. One is from the absolute standpoint and another is from the transactional standpoint of this world. Let us chant verse number 6 once more. Ajopi san avyayatma, ajopi san avyayatma, bhutanam ishvaropi san, bhutanam ishvaropi san, prakritim swamadhisthaya, prakritim swamadhisthaya, sambhavamyatma mayaya, sambhavamyatma mayaya. So as Arjuna asked and Bhagavan wanted to give an indication about his true nature, here Bhagavan directly says, what is my absolute nature? Unborn is my absolute nature. Ajaha, that is called as unborn. Then avyayaha, that is immutable, indestructible. Who is that? Atma Tattva. I am that Atma Tattva, which is unborn, which is indestructible. Now, this is what my true nature is. But Arjuna, I have this beautiful and a very magnificent nature towards the world. What is that? Bhutanam Ishvaropi san. I am the controller of the whole universe. And that's how, by taking the Prakriti, which is my own, that presiding over the Prakriti, I keep taking different forms at different times. So, we have seen elaborate description of each and everything from this verse. Now, having understood this, let us go to the verse number 7 and 8, where Arjuna said, Bhagwan, I have understood. Now, your true nature is unborn, is indestructible. You are Atma Tattva. I have understood this one part. Second part also I have understood that you are the controller of the whole universe. But I have one question now. What is that question, Arjuna? But then why do you take up this form? What is the reason of your taking an avatar? Arjuna, let me describe you now. Why am I taking avatara and why I take avatar at different times? These are the very famous verses of chapter number 4 and also in Bhagavad Gita, which are chanted all over the world at different levels for the different times. Verse number 7, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirbhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. This is very beautiful, and what it resonates in everyone's mind is that Mahabharata which was shown as a serial, and the title song was this Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya. As these are the two very important and famous verses of Bhagavad Gita. Let us now look at it. Bhagavan says, Hey Bharata, Arjuna, yada yada, yada yada, whenever, glani dharmasya, glani means decline, dharmasya, that is called as righteousness. So, yada yada, whenever there is decline in the righteousness, this is the first aspect. Abhyuthanam adharmasya, having understood this, what? There is a decline of the righteousness. If there is a decline in righteousness, then what will happen? Abhyuthanam adharmasya. Then there is a great growth in adharma. Then there is a rise in adharma called as unrighteousness. So one part is decline in the righteousness, another part is great growth in unrighteousness. Tada, then, at that time, Atmanam srujami aham, then I manifest, then I take a avatar. Now, this is a first aspect of this verse. Second aspect also we'll see. Then it says, Paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya cha dushkrutam, paritranaya, for the protection of whom? Sadhunam, those who are righteous people, called as sadhu. Sadhu means good. So sadhunam, those who all are very righteous people. What do you do for them? I paritranaya, I protect them. Then what about the unrighteous one? Vinashaya cha dushkrutam. Then for the destruction of all evil tendencies, for the destruction of all the evil tendencies. Dharma sansthapanarthaya. Then having done this, what? Protecting all those who are righteous, destroying all the evil tendencies, then what do? I establish the dharma. Dharma sansthapanarthaya. I re-establish the dharma. Sambhavami yuge yuge. And therefore, I keep manifesting at different times for different reason. So that is a meaning of these two verses. Now we will see very important aspect where Bhagavan has said, This is called as glani dharmasya. First one has to understand what is called as this dharma. So, the simple meaning of dharma is dharyate iti dharma. Dharyate iti dharma. That which upholds, that which integrates. Now, these two words are very important. That which upholds, that which integrates the society together, and that is called as dharma. So, let us now understand the deeper aspect of this dharma. Dharma has two important aspects. What are they? So, the first are the four different ashrama dharma. What are they? Four different ashram dharma and four varna ashrama. So, first let us focus on varna ashrama. Varna ashrama means there are different sections of the society. What are they? First, Brahmana, second, Kshatriya, third, Vaishya, fourth, Shudra. These are the Varna ashrama. So, what is called as Varna? Varna means the quality of mind and intellect. That is called as Varna. Varna literally means color. Varna literally means color. So, color of the mind and intellect. Now, please pay attention. In scriptures, it is mentioned Sattva is of white color. Sattva is of white color. Then Rajas is of red color. Rajas is of red color. Then Tamas is of dark black color. Tamas is of dark black color. So, these are the colors which are indicative of the quality of mind and intellect. So, you can understand now, when there is a prominent sattva, what can be the status of the mind, or what can be the color of the mind and intellect? White, prominent white. So, when there is a prominent white color, then that is called as Brahmana. Then second, when there is a prominent red color of mind and intellect, then it is called as Kshatriya. Third, when there is a combination of red and black, then it is prominently Vaishya. And when there is a prominent dark black with red and white as a background, then it is called as Kshudra. So, this is called as Varna. We will see more detail in this aspect also. But let me now explain the second level, which is called as Ashrama Dharma. Ashrama Dharma depends on the state of life. State of life. That means you can understand as a station of life. Example, if somebody is studying and dedicating his most of the time in adhyayana, that is called as study, then that is called as brahmacharya. The first ashram, brahmacharya, when your majority of the time is dedicated in study, abhyasa, that is called as adhyayana. Then second level, second station, when you have lot of duties towards your family members, towards the society, and for that you have to work hard to earn money to support the family as well as to support the society. Then that station is called as Grihastha Dharma. That is called as Grihastha Dharma. That is called as married life. Okay, the third important station, which is called as Vanaprastha Ashram, which is called as Vanaprastha Ashram. What is there? Majority of the duties of the married life as well as towards the society now are over. Majority of the duties from the married life, they are over, as well as towards society they are over. Now when you get a sufficient time and you do not have to do so much of work to earn money, because you have already earned sufficient for yourself as well as your family, now you have a good time in hand. What do? Upasana. What should you do? Upasana. That means you should take up a good spiritual practice in your life. A very firm spiritual practices in your life, and that's called as the Vanaprastha ashram. The fourth ashram, the Sannyasa ashram. When the mind is at this level where it has dropped almost all is so called as desires of the world, then this person is ready for that fourth station of the life, which is called as Sannyasa ashram. So what is the majority or what is a prominent role of a sannyasi? To give a right direction to the society by giving an indication or by teaching them from the scriptures to be taught to the masses, as well as give them right understanding for the whole life as well as their duties. So this is the major role of the sannyasi. So now one by one. So when whosoever is very much duty conscious about our role as a Varna ashram, then one who is completely following the Varna ashrama, what happens? That person becomes very harmonious. The mind and intellect becomes very harmonious, which is very important, very important. And that is also reflected in the society too, because if every individual whose mind and intellect is integrated, whose mind and intellect is harmonious, whose life has very, very firm culture as well as righteousness, then that is reflected everywhere and that effect goes to the society also. Similarly, when a person follows the ashrama dharma, then there is a more integration of the personality as well as there is a great extension of his own help to the society as per his duty. So, by doing both, this person can help oneself as well as the world around. So, if everyone starts following this dharma with a very good understanding and not sort of confusion or not sort of as a torture, then there is a harmony possible. But what happens generally and what is happening now, because of a wrong understanding about the Varna ashrama, people have understood it as a caste. Now when there is a caste, then they have put it in this way: this caste is superior and that caste is inferior, which has really ruined the whole harmony of the society. Whereas the right meaning of Varna ashram is not at all a caste, but it is a quality of mind and intellect. So as per the quality of the mind and intellect, one should able to take up one's own action, a field where a person can do a right action, and that is with a right choice. with the right understanding and not just by the force. So therefore, Bhagavan has mentioned in the 3rd chapter, Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaha Paradharmat Swanushthitat Swadharme Nidhanam Shreyah Paradharmo Bhayavaha. Bhagavan has mentioned very clearly there that, O Arjuna, whatever is your dharma, whatever is your station of life, whatever is your varna ashrama, that means whatever your quality of the mind and intellect, as well as whatever your station, the role of life, role in your life, whatever it is. For taking example of Arjuna, Arjuna as a varna ashrama, he is a kshatriya, full of power, full of vigor, and therefore he is there as a king also. His foremost duty to protect all the people in his kingdom. So that is his duty. Then definitely, as he is stationed as a king, as a very kingly person or from the kingly family, then that comes, which is very important, that he has to see that in the society there should be a justice, there should be a righteousness, and whosoever, if trying to make the society absolutely so-called as evil by his wrongdoings, by his unrighteous means, then this person has to punish. Means the king has to punish such people, those who are spreading evil tendencies, those who are spreading unrighteousness in the society. And as per this important aspect, Arjuna must take up a great role, that he has to protect the society and he has to see to it that in his life he must able to perform right action. So he should establish first in his own role, which can be a great model for n number of people in the kingdom. So both are important, as Bhagavan said in 3rd chapter again, yad yada charati shrestha tat tad devetaro janah yassa pramanam kurute lokastadanuvartate. As the elder people or elderly people in the society, they take up right role, they do their duties correctly, then what happens? The same is impressed upon all those who are younger to them. Looking at them as a role model, people follow their seniors. Therefore, every one of us should able to do our role correctly with a right understanding, with a right duty. So this is important aspect of dharma. So what is happening when n number of people, majority of the masses, do not follow the righteous practices? Now this question may arise in the mind of people, what is meant by righteous practices? Now this is a again subtle topic. Please note it. See, culture. What is a culture? Culture is when very large group of people live together with certain principles of life. Please note it. When very large group of people live together with certain principles of life, then having lived those principles for a sufficient long time, there is a result. What is the result? The result of following those principles of life is peace, then happiness, then prosperity. Peace, happiness and prosperity is the result. So when such result comes, those principles becomes the integral part of every individual's life. And those principles, what are those principles? The values of the life. What are the values of the life? Honesty is a value of life. Now please note it. Honesty is such. Nobody can think, okay, I am honest to my all family members. But, what is but? But do not ask me to be honest to my neighbor. That cannot be an honesty at all. Okay, I can be honest to my family members and also to my neighbor, but please do not ask me to be honest at my workplace. In the office or in business, I cannot be honest. Oh my dear. That is also not the right way of thinking at all. Honesty as a value, if we follow, means we should follow rather, should follow. So when we follow this one value which is called as honesty, it is 24/7 without compromise. Without compromise. One who follows this value and the other values without compromise, that person alone is a righteous person. Now what is happening in the society? We all can understand and see all values are molded as per their convenience. I can tell you one simple an example of one which is called as corruption. So people say, where is corruption? It is a cooperation. It is, you can help other person and other person helps you, and this is how there is a mutual understanding and cooperation between two, and so there is no corruption at all. So you can imagine, understand that this is how the values are molded and given a different form, and therefore there is a very great what you call as unrighteousness in the society. So as I described only one, you can understand how other values are molded or broken and used as per one's own convenience. And such situation is called as glani dharmasya. There is a decline in the righteousness of the dharma. So decline of the righteousness itself is called as dharma. So we have seen that how this dharma is most important aspect of the society. And what is actual called as dharma? The culture which we follow. What is called as culture? In the culture we follow the principles of the life for the peace, happiness and prosperity of the whole society. If those principles are differently seen, are broken down, are molded in different fashion just for the selfish reason, then there is a disharmony, there is called as instability, and there is called as a great disturbance in the society. And that's how it happened during the Mahabharata time, that's called as Dwapara Yuga. And therefore Bhagavan has to instruct Arjuna, take up your bow and arrow and establish the dharma now, because that's your duty, oh dear Arjuna. So we have seen one aspect of this verse which is called as yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata apyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujami aham. Now the second aspect, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam Paritranaya, protection of all those who are very righteous people. How do Bhagwan protect? That is a very important aspect. So Bhagwan protect by giving the power to his own very righteous people. Just imagine, Bhagavan follows or Bhagavan re-establishes the dharma through his own messengers. By giving them a right understanding, by giving them right knowledge, by giving that right power. Similarly, you can see here, Bhagavan is there and protecting all the Pandavas. What? By giving them right knowledge, and with the right power, they should be able to win over all unrighteous people. So therefore, Bhagavan is standing very firmly behind Arjuna and telling him to do the right action. See how Bhagavan protects. Bhagavan protects through his own messengers by giving the right knowledge. Now can you imagine how many people are protected by Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandji by giving this right knowledge? Just imagine how many thousands and thousands and thousands of people are protected, are put into a righteous path by giving this righteous knowledge by our Pujya Gurudev. That means Bhagavan has given his message to his messenger like the Pujya Gurudev, like that of Swami Vivekananda Ji Maharaj. So he has also come and he came and gave a great message to the whole universe of oneness as well as harmony. This is how Bhagavan comes in different forms at different times, and also Bhagavan takes a direct avatar as that of Sri Rama, as that of direct Sri Krishna. So there are different levels of the avatara. So there is called as one Ansha avatar. Ansha avatar is for a short time and for a very specific role to do. Example, Varaha avatar. Bhagavan took Varaha avatar. Varaha avatar when Bhagavan took, he only took this avatar to kill Hiranyaksha and then put the earth at a right place and let there be a prosperity on the earth. Let there be a great sort of peace and stability on the earth, and there people can live together. Therefore Bhagavan has killed this Hiranyaksha. Second time he took an avatar just for a short time when he killed Hiranyakashipu. Then that time he took Nrusimha avatar, and for a short time where the boon to Hiranyakashipu was very different, that nobody should able to kill him of anything as that of a human nature, and how he should not be killed in air, he should not be killed on the earth, he should not be killed on the daytime, he should not be killed at the night time. So Bhagavan with this all combination killed him with a right time, with a right form, and therefore there is no sort of question mark about the boon given by the Brahmaji to this Hiranyakashipu. So that's called as avatara. So he protected, that's how, to the whole society by killing unrighteous person or the evil tendency in that person. This is how Bhagavan can directly take avatar. Now, Bhagavan takes a Nitya avatar also. So Nitya avatar is called as all the Santa Mahatmas of this whole universe. In different places, there are different great people we all have seen, we all have understood, we all have heard about them, that how in different times there were different great Santa Mahatmas which helped the whole society to become one or to become strong and harmonious for the peace and the prosperity of everyone. This is how Bhagwan protects everyone in this society. Then, dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Continuously Bhagwan keeps taking different manifestation called as different form at different levels to re-establish the dharma. Now, why so much there is importance of dharma? There is only one and one important aspect. If there is no dharma, then there cannot be any peace in the society. If there is no dharma, if there is no righteousness, there cannot be a stability in society. And if there is no dharma followed, no righteous practices followed, there cannot be a right prosperity at all. And therefore, there is a requirement to re-establish the values of our own society, values of life in the society, which is must to remain at peace, to remain at stable levels, and to have a prosperous life. Now, having said this, Arjuna was looking at Bhagwan absolutely amazingly, that, oh Bhagwan, how kind and compassionate you are. How kind and compassionate you are, that you are there for every one of us whenever it is required. Yes, this is important aspect of Bhagwan. Bhagwan is extremely compassionate. Krupalu, Bhagwan is Krupalu. The nature of Bhagwan is Krupalu, called as compassionate is the nature of the Bhagwan. And therefore, we should able to remember him through the prayers. So, through the prayers, let us make our mind more firm to follow the righteous path of life. Because no doubt, when in the society majority of the people are following unrighteous path, then there is a temptation, why should I follow the righteousness and remain behind and do not have the prosperity and comforts in life? Let me also follow unrighteous path and get prosperous. But one who knows that this prosperity, which is based on unrighteous actions, is very temporary in origin, is very temporary in origin. That prosperity which has a foundation of unrighteousness cannot remain forever at all, cannot remain for sufficient time at all. It can dwindle very quickly, it can get completely shattered very quickly. Therefore, one must understand our every moment of life should be connected to this righteousness through the principles of the life. Let this principle first be our own so-called as role model of life. So, every principle, when you understand as a role model of life, then we should able to understand the importance of every principle. When every principle is followed, the purity of the mind is a gain. Purity of the mind is a gain. When there is a purity of the mind, then there is a sattva guna. When there is a sattva guna, there is a stability. And then there is a stability, there is focus on the right path. And therefore, we must follow the dharma aspect of the scriptures. And it is only and only for the human beings, because animals do not require any dharma. They are controlled by prakriti. But human beings are a species which are different than the animals, birds and other creatures of the whole universe. Because of this intellect, they can really grow to the great extent above this prakriti called as the laws of the nature. and can destroy n number of things. Like we all understand how the pollution is the best example of this, called as destruction of righteous ways, the right means in the society, and use of n number of destructive vehicles, and so much so, therefore, the whole ecosystem goes haywire. So we have this duty towards our society as well as towards the whole nation as well as towards the universe to follow the path which is given by the scriptures, which is called as dharma. So we can protect ourselves, we can protect family, and we can protect the society, by which there can be a peace, there can be a happiness, and there can be a prosperity in the whole society and also the world. And that's how Bhagavan says, I keep taking different avatar and keep manifesting on this very pious land which is earth. And that's how we should able to know the practical meaning of these two verses. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. O Bhagavan, I have understood now a very important aspect. Why do you take an avatar? But can you please tell me, when you take an avatar, what different actions you do, and what is the effect of those actions, and if someone can understand the effect and the purpose of your avatar, what happens to that person? O Arjuna, your questions are beautiful, but definitely I will answer it tomorrow morning. Till then, you reflect on these two important verses just we have discussed. Okay, we can do so. So let us now be ready for our contemplation session, that is called as contemplative time for 5 to 7 minutes. Wherever you are, sit properly. See to it that your backbone is straight. See to it that your neck is straight. See to it that your all limbs are comfortable, and now slowly close your eyes. Let us focus 1 minute on our breath. Let the breath be normal. You have to just observe it. Air which is coming and filling the lungs, air which is going outside. Just observe this breathing process. With it, the mind becomes very focused. Let us turn this attention towards the mind itself now and recollect all important aspects of today's discussion. We must understand Avatar of Bhagavan is for re-establishing the dharma, the righteousness in the society. Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda Ji Maharaj used to say every individual, when take up the challenge of transformation, then through the individual transformation, there is a great possibility as well as great chances of complete transformation on the level of the nation. That means every one of us has to transform our mind and intellect status, because today it may not be very focused, it may not be very righteous, it may have some impressions of negativity, but with right efforts of following the right values of life, the principles of life, we all can slowly remove the negativity from our mind and intellect. More we become firm in the path of righteousness, the more we will influence people around us. And that is how a bigger and bigger chain can be produced, can be generated of righteousness. So we can create a greater peace, a greater happiness, and a greater prosperity in this society and nation, also in the universe. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Om Namo Narayana